Morning, Rach. How are we?
Morning. Good, thank you. You?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. So first things first, what are we brewing? What have we got? What have we
I've
got?
actually got I've got
Yeah,
a warm fish stick.
interesting.
Yeah.
What is a warm fizz stick?
So I have my fish sticks at the gym, don't I?
Oh,
And I
yep.
so it's just like an energy drink, but I was drinking yesterday and I needed a boost.
Oh well, thanks for coming on despite the beverages yesterday. That's all
I
good.
know, well, I did finish quite early, so I was all right. I'm fine really, but yeah, I just
Good.
needed something. And I don't know, tea and coffee. I've already had a tea, but I think the milk just makes me feel a bit blur. So
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Whatever brew is brew. It's all good. Whatever one chooses. I've just stuck with the black coffee as always. Seems to work wonders in the morning. So how was your day? How was your week been?
yeah, it was really good. Yeah,
Yeah,
been a good week with work and
yeah.
gym. And yeah, yesterday my friend um, surprised us to an afternoon tea. Um,
Oh, there we go.
yeah.
Very nice. Can't beat a bit of afternoon tea. Cannot
I
beat
mean,
it.
you just get so much food. You think it's like little, and then you
Yeah.
just get stuffed, and you have to take
It,
half of it home.
it's like the little sandwiches and things, isn't it? You think I'll plow through a few of them, and then you sort of get a few deep, and you're like,
I
actually,
know.
I'm getting
And
there now.
you need to get to the good bit, the buns at the end, and then you can't even fit enough.
And then you got nothing, no room left.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So if we just want to, if you would just give the audience a little insight, then sort of into what you're doing for a living. So you're doing
I'm an accountant.
accountant. Awesome.
Yeah.
I've been doing that for.
I started when I was like 19.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't really know what I wanted to do at school, so I didn't like plan to be an accountant,
Yeah.
but I kind of fell into it via I started off with like business admin type thing, and then my mum was volunteering at Dove House Hospice,
Oh, wicked.
and she was in the finance department, so, and a job came up, so she was like, "Do you want to just come here? Like, do you want to get this job because you hate what you're doing?" So I was like, "Oh yeah, go on then." And then I just started training in accountancy, and then I just carried on. So
It's funny, isn't
yeah,
it? It's funny how like you just fall into something. Like you don't even have that like desire to do it. You just like you say, you get an invite to go somewhere, and then you end up just sticking with it, I guess, don't you? So
and I think I believe, you know, that I believe that everything happens how it's exactly how it's meant to be, and I think this job, even though I do have like passion to do other things, like, you know,
yes,
like
what we've
counselling or
spoken about.
something like that. But I do think it's like a perfect job for me. It has been perfect, and I do really enjoy it. It's not like I go to work and think, oh God, I don't want to go. So it has really suited me. I do feel like I am good at it. So
You're absolutely right, absolutely. And
yeah.
and what do you think? I know we've spoken about this before. What do you think? Like when we say so, because I believe it as well in terms of like everything happening for a reason. What do you think? Like, what do you think that sort of is? If that makes sense, like, what? Why would you think? What would lead you to believe that? To think maybe that would be just sort of in the way that it matches your personality. You mean things like that?
Um, I don't know. I just think you know, like there's a sequence of events that have to happen
Yeah,
for me to become an accountant, and I just think it just does suit my personality. I like numbers. Like
yeah.
everything comes down to numbers. If I have to deal with anything in life, I'm like, what's the percentage of this? And I
It's
don't know. It's weird.
no, it is very it fascinates me so much. Like I think speaking from experience, some of the events that I've like, obviously some of the things I've experienced, I do think they do happen for a reason. Like little things like when I was in Australia, I thought I had a hernia. So
Yeah.
I'd gone to the doctors out there and they'd said, look, we've got to get this thing out, but it's going to cost you and it's going to cost you a good few thousand. I was like, oh, right, okay. So I called home and I said to my mum, I was like, look, mum, I've got a hernia. It is giving me a bit of pain. The doctors here are saying it's going to cost us a few grand. Obviously, I could fly home for cheaper than it's costing. So obviously, what did I do? I booked a flight home. I came home. I went to Spire, got booked in with them. And they were like, yeah, you've got a hernia, but it's not causing you any bother at all. And it'll be more harm to take this thing out than it will be to leave it in. And when I think about that, I think like, well, I came home for that reason, but then I never, do you know what I mean? So there was a reason that happened for me now, why I'm here where I am. Do you know what I mean?
So go back.
Yeah, it almost took a hernia for me, for me to come home and things like that.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? Because you think, what would have happened if you'd have stayed? Like, where would you be now?
Well, it's crazy. Like, you forget, don't you? Like, you forget if you'd gone down a different path. Like, if you'd gone down a different path, then things would just be completely different. And it absolutely blows my mind that, like,
it does me just like a second later by doing something, or I don't know, if you're going to meet somebody, but you pop to the shop first. If you haven't popped to the shop, you might not have met them, or I don't know. When you really deep into it, you're like, oh my God.
And I think like when you think about, it's almost like what you'd sort of spoken to me before about, even just like yesterday, about being on the treadmill and thinking, oh, but if it had been a second, you might have just gone, but not done it. And I think sometimes you've got to we just got to pause and then do it, or and timings are just it's so interesting.
And that with that yesterday, I was like on the treadmill, and I was like, I did 3 minutes because I'd do my warm up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, can I be bothered?
Asking yourself these questions.
I might just walk on here for 40 minutes instead of doing my usual workout. And I was just like, no, like what do you want to achieve here? This is, you can't just walk on the treadmill for 40 minutes. So, and actually when I started doing my weights and stuff, I was like, I didn't really have time. I needed to go get ready.
Yeah. So you were just supersetting everything.
Yeah, I could stay and just went like 2 hours. I was like, I'm really in the zone, but I didn't have time. So.
But I mean, look, it's asking yourself them better questions. You're going to get the better results, aren't you? And I think that's often that I think you can run that right across life. Like if you just, sometimes we've got to think about, how that, say yesterday, for example, that how you would have felt doing that. You're almost thinking about the outcome, aren't you? Thinking, right, well, once I have done this workout, I've done my workout. I know how it's going to make me feel, and I know it's in line with what I want.
Yeah.
Whereas, there's like a devil in the head, isn't there? There's like a demon. He's just saying, just walk on the treadmill, it'll be all right.
And I did that the other night as well when I went to the food cupboard, and I opened it, and it was like 9 o'clock at night, and I was like, what do I want? And I thought, I actually don't want anything. What are you in this cupboard for? Do you want some food? No, but clothes cupboard. And I forced myself to do it.
But you know what? I'm going to say like 3 sort of simple-ish questions there that you can ask yourself, and it can completely change things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and it is a massive, I think hunger is a big thing when you use it as an example, because you can associate a time with hunger. Oh, it's tea time, I need to eat, or like, oh, I can smell something, I need to eat, and things like that. And you just got to, like you say, ask yourself those questions. But well done for doing that, by the way. It's not easy.
To stop. No, it's good to stop and think, right, what are you doing here? Do you want to do this?
Because then I guess we've spoken about this before as well, about that sense of accomplishment from actually not doing it. Like you get more fulfillment.
Yeah, definitely. I do.
Because
I feel better about myself. Like I big myself up when.
Yeah, so you should celebrate those wins. Do you know what I mean? Like it's important to recognize it. Otherwise, if you recognize it, acknowledge it, give yourself a win, give yourself a pat on the back and everything, then next time that you're going to get that win again. Yeah,
because it's only the small things. You always think that like something you want to accomplish is like the big goal, but it's not the big goal, it's the little things that you do.
It's the process, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's always about the process. And when you never actually get to that goal.
Nah.
You always think, yeah, I'm aiming for this, but there's always something else. You're never going to achieve the goals. You're going to achieve your goals, but you want more. So.
But it's funny, isn't it? Because like I completely agree. I'm a big believer on this, and we spoke a lot about this sort of when we are sort of in our coach session, things like that. But like sometimes actually, by the way, which we'll get onto, is more like a therapy session rather than a workout, but for both. But like it's like we think about, like you said, the getting to your goal is building in, like getting what you're getting from the process. I think for me,
definitely.
Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense, like those things you put yourself through to get to that goal, that's the win.
Yeah, it's the mindset. It's you've forced yourself to do that, and
Yeah.
that's more than the goal itself.
Yeah, because 100%, and the process is that's where you learn the things about you, isn't it? That's where the magic happens essentially.
Exactly.
Getting to the outcome's great. It's good to get to the finish line, but it's not the be all and end all, because like you say, you're probably never you're gonna want more.
Yeah, you always want more, and it's who you become while you're doing it as well, because you do become that different person because you realize that you've got more, that you can do it, and I don't know, I just think you think about yourself in a different way when you've actually looked back and seen what you've got through to achieve that goal.
Because it's almost like it's like a limited belief, isn't it? Like it's like if you don't believe you can do it, once it's not going to happen. But like when you believe, when you do it, you start to believe in it. That's when you start to become the person you want to become as well, which I think is very, very interesting.
I know, I always try to remember that, because I remember like a few years ago when I knew kind of what kind of person I wanted it to be, in a way that I wanted to get up in the morning and read or do yoga or meditate, just because I've been like reading books about like miracle mornings and stuff. And I was like, I'd love to be that person. I was like, so be that person. You've got to just pretend you are that person. And then when you do it one day, and then you do it the second day, you do it the third day, and then you just become that person. Then one day you're like, oh, I am that.
It's like that, isn't it? It's like habits, isn't it, as well? And once you start to do that thing day in, day out, or those little tasks, they'll accumulate into becoming that person that you want to become. But then I think there is sort of a flip side to that, where like we think that we need to do I had this conversation actually a little bit with Brendan, my coach, I believe as well, where he was saying that like often we think we need to do all these things to become this person, and we can get a bit overwhelmed. Like when I was in lockdown, and I'll admit I was struggling a little bit. I mean, there was many that were perhaps as well, but like, and I was thinking, I need to do a cold shower. I need to meditate. I need to read. I need to do this. And by the end of it, I was thinking, Jesus Christ, I've got about 20 things I need to do here. I feel worse about thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I think like, you've just got to pick a couple of things that fulfill you, and that do align with where you want to go in life and things like that, because then it just prevents you, getting that overwhelmed, but ultimately it is going to benefit you as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I did that actually. It was lockdown-ish, I think. And I remember finding myself on the bed, just crying. And like when you're just like thinking everything's just shit. Everything in the world's shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, pick yourself up. I had to like have a proper word with myself, pick yourself up. And I got my whiteboard, and I did like a list of things that I was going to do every day. I did about 5. I did want to keep it minimal. I was like, what's going to make you feel good every day? And I ticked it off for like 30 days. But by like 12, I was a totally different person. It's amazing how you can turn it around
so
from,
quickly.
like, the depths to feeling good. And like what I had on there, one of the things actually, which is one of my friends told me to do, I watched on YouTube like 10 minutes of comedy, just to make myself laugh. Sometimes you think, I haven't laughed for ages, and
you can forget what it is to truly laugh.
And it makes you a little bit happy. Well, laughing and smiling is like really
it's
important.
great. Apart from what I find, like I've searched about these lines on my forehead, because I'm always like that so much. I get these lines just embedded in my head. But like the smiling now, it makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think
chatting with friends and stuff is really important, and just being around people that you.
We've spoke about this, haven't we, as well? Like when we say people as well, like we mean. I'm not going to say there's wrong or right people, but like people who you are similar to you, isn't it? And obviously heading in the direction you want to head in, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when you spend some time with some people who maybe don't, like, it almost makes you think like, Jesus Christ, like,
it's mood hoovers you, doesn't it, a little bit? And
Absolutely, yeah. I love that. What's that? Mood Hoover.
Mood Hoover.
Never heard that. What's that? I'm imagining that is like just
Yeah, they're like sucking
all the goodness out of you, just juicing it. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
You can't
cool.
be around people like that.
Nah, because it does drain you, doesn't it? And
yeah,
I think, but like going back to your, is it like like the whiteboard? I think that is in terms of for obviously improving mental health can really help as well, because obviously you just got clarity on things.
The list for starters, the list is good anyway, and ticking it
for productivity.
I've done that. But then the actual actions as well, the activities.
That's the important thing.
Reading books, meditating, the comedy. I think I journaled. Can't remember what else it was. I think it might have been it. It might have been having a conversation with somebody, like a friend or something.
Absolutely. And I think like I started following this guy. I've told him before, I saw him in Newcastle. You know, remember I was saying about Paul Moore? And he was like, he does like this transformation things where he helps men and women and things like sort of get a handle on their stuff and things if they're struggling a little bit. And basically he was saying, and I've ever since I heard it, it's like, you know, it's okay having that. When you action things, that's when you get that sense of accomplishment, isn't it? Like we can list, or we can say we're going to do these things. Tomorrow I'm going to meditate. Tomorrow I'll do 10,000 steps. But if you don't do it, like that's where it happens, isn't it? That's where you actually feel good. Yeah. So I go, right, you know, I'm all
things, and it's that curve into the success curve. Or
absolutely.
Every little thing you don't do, you're going down.
You are going down, and it's completely right, Rach. It's completely right, and I think it is important to. There was another saying as well, which I have used, which is obviously people say about knowledge is power, but only applied knowledge is power, isn't it? When you're actually doing something, that's the only way it's really power, in my opinion. But do you know? So we've spoken about before about sort of like meditation and things like that. Is that something that you as founders help you?
Massively, yeah. Because I never used to do it, and I actually only started doing it when I started an Arbonne business. Don't know how many years ago, maybe 4 years ago. I don't really do it actively now, but it changed my life in a way that it taught me so many things about, I don't know, how to, with the miracle mornings and stuff, it encouraged you to do that, and it encouraged you to read books, which I never used to read that much, and if I did, it was probably fiction. And I started reading like mindset books and personal development books. So it just taught me a lot, and then the meditation came with that as well. And I never used to think that I could do it. I never really understood the reason why, but I read somewhere that, or I got told that, like, well, I believe in the law of attraction as well, don't I?
Yes.
So that's like, I feel like I'm going to sound stupid.
No, there's never a stupid answer, never a stupid answer.
So I've like I know it's kind of thinking positively, but it's not just that. It's like getting excited about something that's going to happen, and you can make it happen. I really believe in it.
It's true.
And so if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts, you're going to get negative thoughts, because you're going to get what you're thinking about. So if you can't stop thinking those negative thoughts, when you meditate, you're kind of blanking out your brain, your mind. So you're actually letting good things come in. That's what I read once, and it just made sense to me. So that's why I try and do it, because I'm like, I feel like it's like resetting yourself.
Yeah.
To blank your mind out so you can attract these good things. Even if you can't think the positive things, you can
erase what's potentially in there. I think that is 100%. I think, how would you, I mean, I've tried meditation and things before, and I think I almost like understand. I think you can try too hard to do it as well, can't you? Like you've just got to almost like let it happen. I feel like I was sort of just sat there, and you know, like my brain is like, there's like, it's just like ridiculous. The speed in there, the thoughts, the everything, and like you sort of sat there. I'm sat there like I'd read. I'll tell you when it was actually not so long ago when I read a brilliant book, by the way, Jay Shetty, Think Like a Monk, and I was like, right, I'm feeling a little bit I need to let's just get this meditation. So I'm sort of sat there in a comfy place and like I'm focused on my breath and I'm thinking, I'm getting somewhere here. But then again, it's just like and then you start to get frustrated because like other things are coming in, but you've got to almost embrace that.
Does it automatically, doesn't it? You just flow into something thinking about something you're going to do or something that happened yesterday. But that is meditation. Like people think they can't do it because of that, but it is, the meditation part is actually controlling your mind and bringing it back.
Yeah, to the present.
That you're doing it, bringing it back, thinking, oh no, you're thinking again. Stop thinking, breathe, thinking about your breathing. Then you start thinking about shit again.
Yeah.
And then bring it back again. And that's what you do. And it's like like exercising, really.
Yeah.
Exercising that muscle of bringing it back.
You're training your brain, aren't you? And I think what you're doing, again, we've mentioned about accomplishment, but then it's that sense of accomplishment of allowing them thoughts to come in, recognizing them, but then bringing yourself back to that present moment, which I think is super hard, because I think in this day and age, it's very rare, I believe, that a lot of us are present on a daily basis. Like, I struggle with it massively. Like, you just end up, I think that's why it's super important when you wake up in the morning, that first 60 minutes upon wake, or give or take, like the drive to work or something, because before you get into that minefield of, getting stuck into your day, that's where you can almost lose yourself in that day. And I think it's important to.
Most people pick up the phone and start scrolling on.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and all you see is negative stuff, and then that's what your life is for the day.
And then what's quite interesting there is, like, when you say things, your phone detects it. So if you are talking negativeness, is that a word? We'll take it. But like then you were going to attract it, because when you open your phone, it's going to say this, and this, and this because of this, and this, and you're like, oh my God, I can't get away from it. But
it's crazy, isn't it?
It is. But on to more positive things then. So holiday coming up as well.
Yes.
Which is going to be cool. Which is good. Great month.
Well, I hope so. The airports don't look amazing, do they? But
speaking of where we're going back to opening your phone up, I did see something actually on socials about at Leeds Bradford. They were queuing mentally at 4 a.m. on Friday Friday. What? No, was it Friday? Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, it might have been Friday. I can't remember which day it was, but anyway, yeah, like
I saw that. Yeah,
and it's again something that is unfortunately out of our control, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. It is a bit worrying, but you can't. I try not. I don't worry about things like that. Just
you take it as it comes, and like again, we could sort of speak about, like, when you start to focus on things that are out of your control, you're just opening yourself up for worries, aren't you?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you think, right, as far as I'm aware, I'm going away. You get there. If you don't, you don't. And there's obviously something good will come out of that. So
exactly, it's not the end of the world. No one's died. So
just
Mr. Oldie.
Yeah, and there'll be many more to come, won't there? There'll be many more to come. You can always go to Butlins.
Yeah.
That is.
I always go to Butlins.
So, and you're heading to, it's Barca, isn't it? You're going, is it Barca? Barcelona?
I'm going to Portugal in July.
Portugal in July. Barca, of course. Beautiful. It'll be very nice. Very nice indeed.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And have we got any other sort of things in the pipeline, Rich? I know you mentioned before about, obviously, work's going great and everything, but there was something else that you quite would like to maybe start digging into a little bit.
I think I've always had, do you know, when, even though I like my job, I don't feel like it's a passion. It's like I'm not really passionate about it. And I've always thought that I'm not passionate about anything. And do you know when you sometimes think you're a bit lost because you're not passionate, and you're like, why haven't I got a passion?
Yeah.
But actually, I am really passionate about just helping people, really. And I think in my job now, I've always been an accountant and just like pretty much doing accountancy. But my job now that I've had since June, I'm the manager, and I really love it because I'm getting to do that helping people bit.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, and just encouraging people and being, I hopefully a good manager. I've got a long way to go, but because it's the first time I've done it. But I feel like my passion is the people more than the actual,
rather than the numbers.
Yeah.
Essentially, which it's like you're almost like it's like a service-based industry, isn't it? I guess,
Yeah,
and it's I can relate to that completely because like I love exercise, but I also love helping people, and that is when I put them two together. This where I am now is, and it's amazing. There's helping. It's not for everyone, but it is such an amazing feeling, isn't it? And I think from what we've discussed, like, is it almost like going into a field of maybe, obviously from your experiences and things of becoming a better you, I suppose, is it almost that feeling of wanting to help people sort of?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I was looking into, I ain't quite decided what it's going to be yet, but I was looking at counselling or like a life coach or NLP course, which looks at your can't remember what it's neural linguistic pathways or something. But I'm really
interesting.
I'm really interested in how the brain works and everything. I love reading books about that. So, but I just need to get the right course. I need to make sure it's the right one. But maybe I should just pick one and go down that path. And if it's not the right one, it'll lead to something else. I think I ain't got a plan with it, but I just believe that if I do one, it'll lead to something else, and then that'll lead to something else, and something will just happen.
Going back to what you said, like everything happens for a reason. So I think if you make that leap of faith, if you know, because we want some passion, we want to make sure we're passionate for something. So if you head for it, see how it goes. And I mean, from what like even just talking to me now, like that is almost what you're helping someone. Do you know what I mean? Like even just talking to somebody, you're helping someone, you're providing some value, like sharing your experiences on things. It helps.
Yeah,
it does.
I think
I think you'd be really good at it. I think you should go for it for sure.
Yeah, it's come from like various experiences, like for example, when I had my birth babies, really, I had a little bit of postnatal depression, not loads, but it was quite bad for me in my experience. Like some people might be worse, but it's your own experience that's for you, isn't it? And I just remember, it was when I was meeting other mums and talking to other mums and realizing that you're not crap.
Yeah,
it's not just you that's going through it, and realizing that everything you think and you're doing is normal, and that's all it is really. Like talking to people and realizing you're not the only one, you're normal.
Because you can easily get into your own head, can't you, and think like oh, it is only me, and you start thinking why me, and then but that isn't the case. Like there's always, it's very, very hard, isn't it, to
it's quite often the case where it's new mothers just get isolated because, and it's a bit of shame really. I think I remember the shame. I can't really remember. It's weird how you forget
in what respect of sort of shame? What do you mean?
That you feel like you should be able to do it, but you're struggling, and you shouldn't be struggling. Like if you're struggling, you're a bad mum. So, and it was, and I remember going to the children's centre, and they're really good, but it did like, because I'd had Darcy and it was my second one, and it did make me feel like they were like started to worry about me, like my mental health, and they came around with loads of forms and she asked me loads of questions, and it just made me feel like
excluded.
Is there something wrong with me? Like like if she was checking up on me, like I was like, you think I'm gonna do something? Like it made me feel crap. But just that compared to talking to other mums was a massive difference, because other mums were just like, that's what
they know it. They understand it, don't they? They're maybe going through a similar sort of process to how you were feeling as well, which is and it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that is something that's backdated from before, where like we have a couple of things where we can think about, like you say, you call it like mum guilt, isn't it? And like people are led to believe that you're a bad mum if you don't do this and this and this. And then the same for like a male, like if you open up about your emotions as a guy, you're not a guy. And I think it's the same from, like you say, I'm sort of thinking about maybe being as a mum and things like that. You're expected to do these things, and if you don't, you're not a good mum. It's a load of shit. Like everybody's got their own things going on, and what everybody deems as a good mum is different to what somebody else deems as a good mum, and vice versa for a guy. And the more people that talk about these things, the more awareness we can bring. hopefully the better, and hopefully the more people we can help. Do you know what I mean?
I always remember a saying, if you're worried that you're a good mum, it means you're a good mum. I always tell myself that.
Well, yeah, because you're showing you're caring,
Yeah,
aren't you? You're caring about your actions for your
yeah.
children, which
If
is
you're just floating around not giving a shit,
yeah.
there's something wrong.
You're a good mum, Rach. You're a good mum. But no, I know what you mean. It's you're showing overthinking. Hell, Jesus, that is a whole different ball game. But like overthinking these things, it does show you care, even though
Yeah,
like it is hard when you've got like when you are, oh God, is it me? Is it me? Why me? Why are they doing it to me? And then before you know it, your brain's going ping, 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 ping.
yeah,
But
yeah. When I moved into this house, it was the first time I had a panic attack, and I think it was mostly to do with the kids, just like because I imagined moving in here and everything being perfect, you know, like the kids being happy and safe and in their bedrooms, and just I don't know, just out, that's all you want. You just want them to feel safe.
yeah,
But then it didn't happen that way. They weren't quite happy straight away, and it was really difficult. And I think it was that guilt that yeah, I remember being on the floor one night and just not being able
yeah.
to breathe, and I had to ring my friend and throw the phone at the kids so she could talk to him, because I was just like,
Oh.
it was awful.
It's really sad because like there's nothing you can do in that position. Like in your head, you're telling you these things like, right, come on, slow the breathing in through the nose, hold it 4 seconds, back out, nice and slow, and
Yeah.
you can't.
And when you're on your own with the kids as well, and they're like going, "What's the matter?" And I was like, I couldn't even talk, so I couldn't even answer them. So it was really hard. But yeah.
Which again would make you, yeah, which again is you would feel sad from not being able to do that. So it's just a constant thing. But I think that there is going to relate to a lot of mums perhaps, which can definitely help them, Rich, because like, you know, I don't suppose being a mum is easy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've got
Yeah.
a lot of things and things going on.
And
But
I think just like life experiences, even though they're rubbish at the time, I feel like they've taught me so much that I do want to help people in that way.
see, and what's quite interesting there is if we were to go more specific on who you want to help, almost like you've almost just answered that question.
I know, yeah, because it is important to find that
Niche.
reason.
Yeah, like
why you're
like the
doing it.
reason as to maybe why, and because of the experiences you've gone through in terms of being a mum and things like this, like you can help them, the mums that are maybe experiencing the same, and because
Yeah,
you could deliver that quality, that specific, because you've done it for them, you've experienced that as a mum.
yeah,
Where and you'd be so honed in on your specific audience of who you want to help, like you could have a big impact on them, which I think is really
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah, yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So I think
Yeah.
if there's anything to sort of take home there as a bit of homework,
Yeah, it's actually made me realise just having this conversation,
well,
because
and that's the beauty of it.
I am so like unsure about it, but yeah, it's just kind of a
Because
bit of realization there.
I've not, I mean, you know, it's not particularly my field, but like as far as I'm aware, like I don't think there's many specific, you know, there's obviously there's like life coaches and things like this, and there's obviously different. I suppose there's different therapists for different things, perhaps, and things like that. But like you wouldn't even have to be like you could just have like a little group,
Yeah,
and from your experiences, you could all get together and you could help people in a group set. You know what? There's so many options you could do right there, which I think is amazing.
yeah.
Which is really, really, really cool. But good stuff. That sounds really good. So what what does the future sort of hold? I mean, obviously at the minute you're cracking on with your house and things. Have you got anything else that you want to work towards? Have you got anything else going on?
Not really, no, not really. Just mainly getting the house nice. I'm enjoying my job, so I love that. And then just finding this little side thing that I want to do as a
Yeah.
passion, really. And I feel like that's enough.
What do you feel like? I think it's important to think about like when we think about like passion and fulfillment and happiness. I think like, do you find that like what fulfills you now is not didn't well what fulfilled you maybe 5 years ago doesn't fulfill you now? Or
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
do you
I'm a totally different person to what I was 5 years ago. I think I've learned to be happy in the day that you've got. I've definitely learned that. You know, like taking the little moments, because you always think that things will make you happy, but they don't. Like it's every day that makes you happy. Like I try and take in, if I'm just like sat with the girls watching a film, I like look at them and take in the moment, because it's not going to last forever. So I find my happiness from every day,
which is amazing, because I think the more you can take from the smaller things in life, like the more happy. I mean, happiness is a big broad feeling, I guess, isn't it? And like, obviously people value it differently, but if you can find those things that fulfill you on a day-to-day basis in small segments, you're going to be ultimately probably a happier person overall.
You've got to be happy in yourself as well, and I think I've learned that massively, because I never used to be.
But what and like this is a like being happy in yourself, like what would have been happy in yourself be for you? Like, how would you feel? What is being happy for you?
For me, it's like being calm about things. Yeah. In a way, just at peace with things and letting it go. Like I try not to get stressed about anything, and some people react to things all the time, you know, get really super stressed out about other people, what they're saying or what they're doing. I'm just like, I'm never bothered about.
And that, I think you've actually literally put the nail on the head there, Rich, because I think like it's how you react to things.
Yeah.
That ultimately
you've
got a choice. You've got a choice point, 100%. You've always got. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. But basically, if we drew a bit of paper out, and you could put like a square in, you could have like. So you could have like at the bottom here, you could have like, say like a difficult situation. And then you could go up and then you'd have a choice point with a circle around it. And then you could either have like left, right, and that'd be like how you react to it. Because if how you react to it is essentially going to dictate to the answer you're going to get, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think you've actually put the nail on the head there, because I think how you react to things, that is the answer you're going to get, isn't it? Like, you know, people are like, we spoke about like, you know, when you gossip as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, like it's all right here and there, isn't it? But like, that's the way you react to like a certain situation of someone. Oh, have you seen so and so doing this?
Yeah.
You're almost just placing your energy and reacting to something in that way that it's just like you said, mood hoovering.
Yeah, and I don't like gossip, because it's bringing you down inside.
Yeah.
People don't realize how much it brings you down inside, and the person that you're gossiping to just thinks you're a gossip, and they're not going to trust you. So I try not to do it. Like sometimes you do get sucked into other people doing it, which is bad, but I do try to stop it when it happens around me.
It's super hard, isn't it? Because like this again, I'm relating back to this book, but like the Think Like a Monk book, Jay Shetty sort of talked about how when people he was around would start to gossip, he would just freeze, because he genuinely didn't want like to get involved. And I think that's amazing. Like you can, because it's so hard. Like if someone goes, "So what's your thoughts on it, Josh?" And I'm just like stood there like just not talking. And it's like, I'm just like, you know what? Like, I don't want to share my view on it. It's not really relevant. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And all my friends always say that I'm like the nicest person in the world, because I'll always see a good point of view from if somebody does something. I'm like, yeah, but what if they did it because of this? And I'm like, always see the best in people.
Because if somebody did do something wrong, we genuinely don't know the ins and the outs of the situation. Because like we said, there's always more than one story, isn't there?
Yeah, you don't know anything. It's like when people get mad with people driving, like you don't know what they're going through in that car.
Yeah, well, this is a thing. Often this sounds. I think some people just need to lose sometimes. He's overtaking a few cars, but he might, you know, his partner might be in the passenger seat about to give birth. Or when we talk about Sunday drivers, and you've just got like, you know, Doris and Keith just like tootling along, nice and steady, just taking in the scenery. But like, that's fine. Like, just allow it. I mean, I used to. I'd be like, oh, come on, like I need to get there, but like.
I know. Well, in my head, I'm like looking through the mirror, going, "Oh, cute little."
Yeah. Again, seeing the best in people, seeing the best in what they want to do, which is fab, and that's why I think this bloody venture, this thing that you're passionate about needs to happen, because it is going to, it's definitely going to make an impact, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, hopefully.
Which I think is great, which I think is really, really, really good. So have you got anything sort of planned for this week? Have you got anything coming up? Or are you just sort of coasting along now through to Portugal?
Yeah, I don't think so. I ain't got much on in June. I'm trying to have a quiet month, but it never happens with my social life.
Yeah, there's always a hot tub to be getting into, or there's always
There's always the deco on the go. And
there's always a glass of fizz here. And then, like, I think we actually, I would like to touch on this a little bit. Like, we've spoke about in the gym and things about like drink and things like that. And like, how do you feel? Like, we've spoke about hangovers and things, haven't we? And we actually had this conversation last week, or perhaps the week before, about like how much of an impact it does have. Yeah. I mean, you've had a few yesterday, but it hasn't had an impact on today.
No, it's fine.
But like, what's your view on things? Like, how do you feel? I know everyone experiences a different hangover and things like that. But like, do you try and see the positive of a hangover if you see the best in people?
No, because I can be nice to other people, but I'm not that great to myself. So I will have the hangover guilt, and think I've let myself down for drinking and getting to that point, and then spend the day eating crap and then feel even worse about myself.
Yeah.
So I do try not to. I mean, I do like to go out with my friends and stuff, but I try not to get too bad, Shots do it for me, like, real bad. But so I mean, I've decided that they
no
are
shots,
no more in my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get quite bad, and it's the mental thing. It gets you really. I think it's just depression the next day.
It saps you. It's literally sapping all your serotonin. Yeah. It is literally just pulling everything out. You've come from such a high, essentially, and you're like
to feel normal. I just love that feeling normal without drink, and it just wastes the day. It actually doesn't waste a day. It wastes about 3 days.
Yeah.
And, you just crap, and then Monday morning, even if I go out on a Friday night, I'm still rubbish on a Monday morning. And I can't do my job. So.
I completely relate. I'm exactly the same, because it's just like an all or nothing approach. I'm all in at the time. It's like, it's brilliant. Wake up, I'm like, holy moly, like, that is, you've got the next 48 hours or whatever, you're essentially in for it, and you're battling in your own head, because you're thinking like, why have I done it? It's so hard to get into your head. You're thinking like, why have I done it? But then that at the time it was right.
Yeah. I love that first drink, just that first glass. But then every so often I'll love a blowout.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone needs
it's after, like, I used to get about 5 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, and then I'd be like, oh, I need a night out with the lads. Do you know what I mean? And then I'd start sending the feelers out for maybe the following week. And then, but I think, like, now for me, I've overcome that, which I think is a massive win, because like now I think like a blowout for me is not what a blowout was before for a start, which is good. And like, I suppose at the time, that is what fulfilled me, like going out, like just going out with the lads, like them first few pints would be absolutely amazing, or even when I played football and things like that. But then things change, and that's absolutely fine.
Your life moves on, doesn't it? And you get different priorities.
But I think in terms of hangovers, it is just a case of like trying to just get a grip of your thoughts, and like realize that this thing is temporary, and obviously it will pass. You've just got to hydrate, get some fresh air, try and get your vitamins in, get your veggies in, all the good stuff.
I'm so bad at drinking water. So all day I'm like, just drink water, and I just drink a few sips. I'm like, oh, I feel drowned. It's
get the armbands on. It's so hard that, like, it's hard to get that water in, isn't it? Like, when sometimes you just sort of like cabbage there on the sofa or in bed, and you just like, you need to do these things, but this bloody hangover it's stopping you from doing these things. And for me, like, it's just the productivity as well after that. Like, I'm not as creative. Like, I've got nowhere near as much energy. Like, my thoughts are just even more scattered than, like, my thoughts are just all over the place.
Yeah.
And I can't get a grip on it. I think I really, really cannot get a grip on it. And I think
I think when you've got kids as well, it's you feel quite guilty because it's not their fault. They're not asking you to drink. So the next, say on a Sunday, their day's ruined.
And then again, going back to that guilt, isn't it? I guess from, like you say, that mum guilt or that parent guilt, so to speak.
Oh yeah, you always get that. Like when you've, especially maybe mums, because you feel more pressure to be that person. It's proper guilt when you've got the kids.
Yeah,
you've got whatever, real bad.
Because it's you've brought them into this world, and it's almost your responsibility to ensure that they're having the happiest, healthiest life, everything, isn't it? From the get-go, you want the best.
If you laid on Ian and saying just watch a film, and just you laid there thinking I can't move, but I feel really guilty. and
it's interesting because then as there is, we could flip that round and think that guilt will get you moving, I suppose. There's different ways we can view that, which I think is pretty cool. Like you could think, oh, do you know what? I feel pretty shit. I feel really guilty. But then you think, actually, this guilt is going to get me off the sofa, put my slap on, take them out, and get cracked on. So
it's like anything. If you don't do it, you don't know you shouldn't do it. So you've got to, it's like you've got to fail.
You've got to fail to grow. 100%. 100%. But I think that is. I think that's an absolutely fantastic way to sort of round up this morning, Rach, to be fair. I think it's been very, very, we spoke about like just the, getting help from certain conversations. And I think this has been super insightful. And there's things that I can.
Always is with us too, isn't it?
There always is. And this is the whole thing with like, I think why conversations are really important with friends, and like, that's what we have become friends over time. And that's what it's about, is having these conversations with friends. And if people can, there may be things in these conversations that people can actually think, do you know what? Like, I can relate to that. And thank you for giving me that golden nugget.
Yeah. I think you always get something out of anything you listen to, even if it's a tiny thing.
Anything, isn't it? And then even if you take one small thing, but you action it, you're doing something, you're actioning it, aren't you? So that knowledge you've gained, you've pulled it out upon that podcast, and it's helping. If it's helping you, happy days. If it don't help you, fair enough. But it's it's one of them things, isn't it? But no, thank you for taking the time out, Rich, especially after a few fizzers yesterday. Been good. It is early for you, Rich. So I appreciate you. I do appreciate you coming on. I really do appreciate it.
Right. Good.
So, but yeah, thank you very much. And I will be seeing you anyway in the week.
Yes, I will see you on Thursday.
You will. Okay then, Rich. Thank you for coming on.
All right.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
See you later.